On July 17, 2026, Prime Minister Narendra Modi flagged off a train sitting on an 89-kilometer stretch of track between Jind and Sonipat. It carries roughly 2,600 passengers, reaches speeds of 110 kilometers per hour, and generates absolutely zero tailpipe emissions. No diesel exhaust, no combustion, and no fire. This Jind-Sonipat route serves as a large-scale transit experiment for a nation of 1.4 billion people, testing if hydrogen can handle the daily demands of a massive population. Looking at current transit options reveals why India sought a third path. Standard rail systems rely on two legacy technologies, but both have inherent limitations that hinder nationwide expansion. Diesel locomotives rely on internal combustion. While reliable, they produce significant carbon emissions and noise pollution directly in the urban corridors they serve. Electric trains offer a clean alternative at the point of use, but they require the installation of expensive overhead catenary wires. Maintaining this infrastructure across remote or rugged geography is a constant financial drain. There is also a hidden environmental footprint. The power grid supplying those overhead wires often depends on coal-fired plants, merely shifting the emissions from the track to the power station. Transit authorities required a specific technological solution, a locomotive that generates clean electricity entirely on board, eliminating the need for external wires. India engineered this third option specifically to circumvent the structural and economic constraints that limit both diesel and electric systems. To move thousands of people without wires or diesel, this train operates as a traveling power plant. It propels itself by essentially reversing the process of water electrolysis. The engine at the heart of this system is the proton-exchange membrane fuel cell, highlighted here in the center of the diagram. The chemical inputs are simple. The system draws stored hydrogen gas from onboard tanks and oxygen from the ambient air, forcing them to interact inside the cell. As the hydrogen protons pass through the specialized membrane, their electrons are diverted along a separate path. This creates the electrical current that powers the train's traction motors. Once the electrons complete their circuit, they recombine with the protons and oxygen. The resulting byproduct is nothing but pure water vapor and warm air. Understanding this microscopic electrochemistry makes it clear that zero-emission travel is a scientific reality, not a marketing claim. India's engineering achievement is defined by its scale. While countries like Germany typically limit hydrogen trains to small two-coach rural routes, India has deployed the full 10-coach train set. Built at the Integral Coach Factory in Chennai, the train features two dedicated power cars. It also uses regenerative braking, which captures and recovers energy every time the train slows down to maximize the range of the fuel cells. Scaling this technology requires addressing the extreme flammability of hydrogen. Storing enough gas to power 10 coaches at high speed creates a risk of catastrophic ignition if a tank is compromised. To mitigate this, engineers installed redundant safety layers. Advanced sensors constantly monitor for heat and leaks, and the system can automatically isolate fuel tanks and shut down operations at the first sign of an anomaly. Moving from laboratory prototypes to a mass transit system requires engineers to safely manage a mobile, highly flammable chemical plant through crowded passenger corridors. Despite the technological success, the Jind-Sonipat route is a pilot project, facing difficult economic hurdles before it can be deployed on a national scale. Producing hydrogen gas is currently expensive. Building a nationwide network requires immense capital investment for high-pressure storage and refueling infrastructure at every hub. There is also the green paradox. A zero-emission train only reduces carbon footprint if the electricity used to produce the hydrogen comes from renewable sources like solar or wind. Generating truly green hydrogen for mass transit requires a massive solar footprint, similar to the dedicated infrastructure built for this pilot project. India must continue integrating wind and solar into its energy grid to ensure the entire hydrogen production cycle remains clean. Successfully deploying this infrastructure allows India to replace imported fossil fuels with domestic production while creating silent, pollution-free urban centers. This pilot is an aggressive test to see if clean chemistry can survive the intense transit demands of a developing 1.4 billion-person nation.